So, look, here's the deal. I was just about to read a story, and then the phone rang. And so we were going to move on and talk football, but Zach over there was like, well, just talk about it with Jonathan. So that's what we're going to do. So stick tight. You're gonna be able to comment on this. Check this out, Jonathan. Are you familiar with Kohler, like the toilet company? They make sinks and stuff.
Yes.
Kohler just debuted a new toilet camera that watches you go to the bathroom and then uses an algorithm to analyze the results and track your health. Jonathan, let's talk pros and cons here.
The only way I can get down with it is if, well, no, I still can't, but maybe if it's like a parenting thing to kind of keep track of when your kid goes to the potty or kind of, do something with your potty training. But as an adult, I honestly don't see the use for it.
But I mean, if it's analyzing your health, if it's somehow figuring out, wow, you have some kind of an indicator for some serious disease, sure.
See, maybe, if they're testing out the urine or whatever fecal example, and maybe they're trying to eliminate one less doc visit, I don't know. But if that's the case, maybe I can get behind it, but still, overall, I think I'm good at regulating my own stuff when it comes to
Jonathan, I mentioned this last week. I didn't realize that it was something that the Vikings bring with you, but when after the game, they're in the locker room, I go to the restroom before we get on the buses so I don't have to, hold it for 13 hours. And the little thing that tells you whether or not you're dehydrated by your pee, that's fascinating. I didn't know you guys brought that along with you everywhere you went.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I don't have to carry that in my backpack. But, it's one of the things that I've grown to actually, learn to like it just because, it is a good thing to kind of keep track of, like, your hydration. Because sometimes you can feel like you drank 2 bottles or you drink enough, but then you go to that thing, that's like the moment of truth. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely helps out, but maybe, like I said, that's the only thing I could see going inside my toilet, maybe ever. But the last thing is definitely going to be a camera. That's for sure.
So you don't want to grab a Microsoft Surface and analyze your poop after you're done, correct?
No, listen, I don't need anything. But look, with all these data leaks and all this stuff, I don't need any.
All
so
two.
I'm good off of that.
Well
So according to this, it just scans. It looks down into the toilet, so it would. Well, they claim at least that it would not technically videotape. I don't know.
That's what they say.
All it takes is one hack, right? And they tilt the camera just slightly up, and somebody's paying for that. This.
Then next you have to be accepting cookies and online and stuff like that. All that thing. All like this. So I'm good, Cole. I appreciate it, Cole. I love the idea, but I'll be out of that one. But if you're still looking for any type of, shameless plug, throw some my way, I'm definitely all ears.
There you go.
It's a $600 toilet cam.
Yeah.
No thanks. All right, moving on. Jonathan, you play. It's a short week. You guys just played Philadelphia a couple days ago, but you're going to Los Angeles tomorrow and playing the Chargers on Thursday. Short week. We could probably ask you this question every year, but just in general, what do you think of Thursday night games, the pros and cons of the short week coming off the loss to Philly?
I mean, me personally, the short weeks don't really kind of like bother us too much. I think they do a good job taking care of us just because it's like you're already in the swing of playing ball. Your body kind of didn't really shut all the way down from the last game. So you just try to just keep it moving. It's kind of like you say, a short week. So, obviously the only, I guess, somewhat challenge is obviously traveling across the country a little bit. But at the same time, it's still, the same logistical plan that I believe that, they set us up for success every time within our organization. So, me personally, I like it. So it's a pro for me.
All right. So Jonathan, stay with me for a second. Yeah. Our friend Ben Maller, Chris in Sauce. You guys know Ben Maller.
Oh yeah.
Ben Maller does a show before us by like an hour. And he said something that I never thought of. He said that, a couple of years ago, we heard a whole bunch of people complaining about Thursday night games. That the lineup wasn't very good, the schedule wasn't very good, that at some point we got to get these Thursday night games to be better or Amazon's going to be really pissed. But he also said, and this sounded very conspiracy theory, and I want to know if you are able to comment on this, he said he's convinced that the NFL players were behind the scenes told to stop complaining about Thursday nights because he's like, the players have gone quiet the last couple of years about the short week. How you just said it doesn't really affect you that much. Is that even something that happens? Like, do you guys get, what's the word I'm looking for? Like memos?
Called to the principal's office.
Exactly. Like a memo going like, hey, cool, if you guys are not fans of Thursday night, could you please stop complaining to the media about Thursday nights? Is that something that actually happens?
Look, to my knowledge, absolutely not. I'll be transparent. Yeah, I have not got that message yet. Honestly, it's kind of, and it kind of boils down to when people ask me about certain things, the London game and things of that sort. Like it's cool, but at the end of the day, like we still got to go out there and perform. So like I think it's more of a, yeah, you can complain and listen at the same time, but it's like, what is going to happen? What can they do immediately that's going to change anything? So you kind of like expressing any type of like concern, like at least right now during the season, is never going to lead to anything good, but possibly a fine just because you're criticizing over X, Y, Z. But yeah, I don't know. All the conspiracy theories, I mean, trust me, it may seem like a lot of these things happen based off of like what, I had a guy tell me one time they thought it was conspiracy theory just based off of how we play or play happened or something like that. Like, listen, if you truly think that we're out there trying to have some type of conspiracy when God's running full speed at us, please rethink again. So, yeah, I don't know about that answer. That's a long-winded answer, but yeah, I haven't heard that.
Hey, Jonathan, the Chargers' offensive line is not what they started with. Their number one left tackle, Rashawn Slater, is out. He was out in preseason. Then they moved Joe Alt to left tackle. He's now out. Their backups at both tackle positions are questionable. How do you guys attack and look forward to maybe a banged-up offensive line?
As we know, we can't take anyone for granted at this point, whether they're a starter, first-time starter, whatever rookie case may be. We give everybody the same respect. Just because that's what happens. That's when bad things happen when you go in there underestimate your opponent. But we do use it as an opportunity to try to, execute ourselves to the way that we want to. We have an attacking scheme and we want to continue to try to do. And having newer guys in there, it can kind of be a little difficult for their communication. But it's a matter of we're just going to not switch our things up and just go in there and go even harder than we will before, just because it's an opportunity where we should have these advantages. But at the end of the day, as we know in the league, everybody gets paid in any given Sunday or Thursday in this case. But I like ourselves to go out there and try to get back on track.
To kind of go back to one question here, I was just reading an article about Dre Greenlaw, Broncos linebacker, getting, I believe he got suspended for a game for basically being what they call abusive and threatening or insulting language towards an official. Obviously, some things happened last week with the officials. We weren't happy about it. It happens every game. Do you have to monitor yourself, or do you go into each game knowing which referees you can maybe talk to a little bit more than others?
Well, we know which referees. We're going to get at the top of the week. Well, not at the top of the week, at the end of the week, kind of. Once we have our team meeting, and we know the officials, the white hat that we're going to get every week in their whole crew. So yeah, you kind of get. Me being my 6th year in the league, I've kind of dealt with pretty much every set of referees that we have in the league now. Like you say, some are a little more lenient than others. Others, we're going to let the TV and the TV copies do the talking, and obviously y'all will see the stuff that's going on too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, as we all know, you can't say anything about them. They literally can do whatever they want, and we just have to go with the flow. They know they make some tough calls and bad calls, and the NFL will come around and change those things. You see it as the reports later on and say, hey, that should have been X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be. But I think that's the part that's a little unfair. The fact that, we can't be human and express ourselves. We're already in a high intensity game. Our emotions are high. Everybody wants to win. So the fact that they kind of monitor it in the sense of it being personal is kind of like, that's where the issue kind of lies. And I don't think Dre, at all was, ever going to hit the referee or ever going to do something to the guy. I feel like when I watched the video that he was just saying, listen, you almost gave them the game. And the fact that they won it, you kind of can get beside yourself a little bit in that instance. And I think we all been there or wanted to be there in a sense. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he did basically what a lot of guys would want to do is say something to the referees because we feel like they get no ramifications or any issues at all whenever they have a quote unquote bad call. Then New York comes in and saves them. So, it's a lot of things that go into it. I'm pretty sure if he would do it again, he probably would, just because it's that type of game and a lot of things are at stake. So for them to kind of take it in that type of perspective, I mean, based off of what history says, I see why he would get fined just because you say anything about him, it's going to happen. But to the players on our side, we definitely know that. We know that he wasn't going to do anything crazy. We've all been there and said some things to the refs and this and that. The fact that referee wanted to take it personal and make it about him, and now that he's gotten fined, it's just the result you get. So we're going to steady keep trying to fight it, try to just do our things on the field. But obviously when it comes to that aspect in the offseason, we'll try to handle that as best as possible, just so that we can get some accountability and consistency when it comes to the referees and their calls.
Jonathan Greenard joins us here Tuesday mornings on the Power Trip. Nard Dog, the Eagles on Sunday went ahead and tried a tush push at one point in the game, a play that they have perfected, made famous, et cetera, et cetera. We saw something from your defense that we haven't seen before. And Tyler Batty essentially just flat out dead man laid down, and it was brilliant and genius. Can you kind of take us through the week of learning about this strategy, how it hit you, maybe like it hit some of us as fans going, oh my God, how did nobody think of that? That is genius. And the execution of that play.
Yeah, that was all the coaching staff, man. They literally came to us with a plan literally at the top of the week, like, listen, we got a plan for it. And they put it on the board, and we kind of all would kind of like laugh a little bit and kind of like, what in the world? But when you think about it, when we got there and actually, practiced it, it made sense just because, it's a low man's game. When you're on the ground and you got all fours, as an offensive team, when you see them in that position, you can't get any lower than that somebody on the ground. So It's like you can try to move them out the way, I guess, try to scrape them across the turf by driving your legs, but it doesn't work when you got somebody else pushing on top of them to a person that's laying flat on the ground. So I think personally, the plan was pretty cool. It may look crazy, but I think it works. I think we may have given some people some type of idea in a sense. And me personally, I know that, not personally, we know that was a stop. He wasn't near. I mean, not say he wasn't near. He didn't get the first down on that, and everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. So we kind of gave everybody somewhat of a recipe to stop it. But it's definitely a good play for them, for sure.
Jonathan, thanks as always, man. Good luck against the Chargers 2 nights from now.
Appreciate y'all. Always have a good one.
Thank you, Jonathan.
See you later.
Jonathan Greenard of the Minnesota Vikings.